What do you think?
Tucker loves cows.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. We're Catherine and Derek and this is the guidebook. This is part 2 of our 8-day Utah-Colorado road trip series. In part 1, we explored the area around Hanksville, Utah. And in part 2, we're going to be driving down to Mexican Hat and we'll be making a few stops along the way. We just made it to our first stop, which is Height Overlook, and this place is incredible. We have 360-degree views of all these beautiful rock formations, and it's been really nice.
I really did not expect this drive to be this pretty. I planned a few stops along the way, but this was really just a drive to get us from Hanksville down towards Valley of the Gods. And I've been blown away so far with how beautiful this drive is. It's incredible. You could honestly spend a good portion of the day just stopping at overlooks and checking out the views.
We just got to National Bridges National Monument, which is included in our National Park Pass, which is really nice. So we are planning on just driving the 9-mile loop and stopping at some of the overlooks and viewpoints. In the National Monument, dogs are allowed on the paved trails and in parking areas, but they're not allowed on the hiking trails. So we're just sticking to those areas because we've got Tucker with us.
Finishing up the 9-mile loop drive in Natural Bridges National Monument. We checked out a few of the viewpoints and they're really cool. And now we're heading down to Gooseneck State Park. About 12 miles from Gooseneck State Park now, and we're on this pretty narrow gravel road. This is really cool views, but if you're afraid of heights, you might not like this too much. I thought this was gonna be wider right here. Try to get as it has been. You're having a good time, Decky.
He's having a great day.
Look at this. We're at Goosenecks now. This is so wild. We're heading out of Gooseneck State Park now, heading over to Valley of the Gods, where we're going to be camping tonight.
Continue on Valley of the Gods Road for 9 miles.
This is awesome. Just turned off the road, heading over towards the campsite that I found on iOverlander. Hopefully nobody has taken it so far. And no one is here. Perfect. This is awesome.
Look at this view.
Yeah, this is sick.
We just pulled up to this beautiful site at Valley of the Gods. We've got incredible views all the way around. Camping at Valley of the Gods is permitted in already established sites, so just make sure that if you come to visit that you're camping in already established sites and also following all the rules and regulations of the area and leaving each space better than you found it.
We're currently on an 8-day Utah and Western Colorado road trip, and I just wanted to show you our routine once we get to camp because it's a little different than our usual trips. Since this trip is a lot longer, we have way more food than usual, and we're also backpacking at the end of this trip, so we have some backpacking gear in here. Usually on a normal trip, all of our food fits in these bins, and once we get to camp, all we gotta do is we can pop these bins out and we can cook. We pop our little table and chairs out and we're ready to go. But on this trip, we have to move our backpacking gear and our extra food bags into the back of the truck where our dog usually rides while we're driving. Here is all the extra gear that we wouldn't usually have on a normal weekend trip. It's our backpacking gear, all of our extra food, and our extra food in our cooler. And we're gonna put this up in the cab now. Our dog rides in the back while we're driving around, but he sleeps back there with us in the cab, so we have plenty of room back here while we're sleeping to put all of our extra gear. Now all we have to do is pull out our packing boxes, set up our little packable chairs and little packable folding table, and we're good to go. We've just been sitting here at camp relaxing and taking in the views, and the sun just dipped behind the hill over here. And look at this now. This is so beautiful. This is our view right from camp.
While Derek's out taking some pictures, we're gonna get started on dinner. Tonight we have mac and cheese, but we also added in some bacon bits for extra protein.
If you visit any of the locations in this video, please follow all leave no trace principles so these beautiful places can stay protected and remain open for future generations. You're such a good boy.
Dinner is served.
Thank you so much. Oh, you're the best. This looks amazing. Tucker, not for you. This is nice and warm,
You've already
too.
ate yours.
Tucky, you can't have this. You already ate your food. Tuck, back up. Come on, back up. Back up. Not like that. We're not backing up like for you to eat it. Come on. Go over here. Come on. You don't have to shorten your lead. I'm gonna give it a taste test. Ooh, that's a big bite. The sriracha is a really good touch. We're gonna eat the rest of this great dinner and then we're probably gonna go to bed. But there's a possibility we'll try to get up tonight and shoot the stars. We've never done that before though, and we don't really know how. So the next clip will either be us shooting the stars or it'll be tomorrow morning. You'll just have to wait and see to find out. Good morning from Valley of the Gods. It is another beautiful day here in Utah, and I'm just taking Tuck for a little walk. I'm trying to let Catherine sleep in a little bit this morning. Tucker likes to cuddle with her when she's sleeping, and in the truck we don't have nearly as much space, so that generally results in her not being quite as comfortable as she would like to be. So I'm gonna try to let her sleep a little longer today. Sorry for the whispering, but there's other people camping over there. Don't want to wake them up. This is just such a beautiful place. And what an amazing view we have right from camp. Good morning, little buddy. Would you like some coffee? We're getting packed
up here. We're about to leave Valley of the Gods. We're probably going to make breakfast once we get to the trailhead for our first hike of the day. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on the Jackery. We've never done a trip this long before with the Jackery, and one where we've had to charge the camera and the drone and the GoPro as much as we have on this trip. So this is the first time we're really getting to test out the capacity of the Jackery that we have. So we have the Jackery Explorer 300, and for our weekend trips and everything, this is great. I never even have to charge it while we're driving around. I usually still have like 75-80% capacity by the end of the weekend. But on this trip, we have been charging the drone and my camera and the GoPro a ton, and our phones, and we've been using it to run the lights every night. And we're currently at, if you can see there, 38%. Which is honestly surprising that we still have that much power. I've charged all 3 drone batteries up, I think 3 times now. I've charged my phone multiple times. Catherine charged her phone multiple times. We charged up my camera battery once, and we've been pretty much consistently charging the GoPro because for some reason, if it's below like 80 degrees, the GoPro batteries just instantly die. I don't understand it. But today on this drive, we're gonna try for the first time just plugging it in to charge. On our way to our next location, I have this AC outlet back here in my truck, so I'm gonna plug this in, and while we're driving, we have about a 2-hour drive. We'll see how much charge we get. All packed up now, about to leave Valley of the Gods, and Catherine said she wanted to drive on the way out. I pretty much always drive wherever we go because I get very car sick if I'm not driving, but Catherine really wanted to drive out of here, and since we're going pretty slow, I think I'll be fine. This road has some little sections like that and some rockier, bumpier sections, but I honestly think if you have any vehicle with decent clearance, you'll be fine. We saw an Audi sedan driving down this road yesterday. So this road, as long as it's dry, should be suitable for pretty much any vehicle.
Continue for 43 miles.
We just arrived at our hike for today. It's Moab Rim Arch and another arch that I cannot pronounce and won't even try to. We'll put it on the screen. The trail is about 5.5 miles round trip with about 1,000 feet of elevation gain, and it's an out and back trail. This trail starts out on a Jeep trail and then I think transitions to more of a hiking trail further up. Seems to have flattened out a little bit up here. Some pretty gnarly sections to this trail. Not for hiking, but if you're in a 4x4, there's some pretty crazy sections. Just came from this way, arrived at this junction, and the trail on all trails goes this way. This is really pretty up here. This is Moab Rim Arch, and now we're gonna head to the other arch that I cannot pronounce. Just turned off the Jeep trail back there, and now we're on the hiking trail finally. Once the trail comes off that Jeep trail, it becomes a little bit harder to follow, and it's more scrambling up here. So far our dog really hasn't had any issues. And here's the little tiny arch. That's pretty cool. Oh, look at that view of the mountains through there. It's kind of hot, so we're trying to get Tucker to take a break. Finally, he laid down. He doesn't like breaks or like pausing on hikes, but
He starts crying.
Yeah, he starts crying. But since it's kind of hot, we're trying to get him to take breaks and try to give him a lot of water. I don't really know why he doesn't like taking breaks. He's pretty lazy in a lot of other aspects of his life, but
He loves to hike.
yeah, he loves hiking.
It's
Works
funny.
well for our lifestyle.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I'll take a break for something on a hike and he'll just start like incessantly crying. And then as soon as I start moving again, he's good and stops. Yeah, we're taking a little break and then we'll go check out the arch a little bit more and then head back down. Don't worry, we brought like 2 liters of water for him, so he should be just fine. What a cool little arch. And this view through it is so cool. This trail is even cooler than I expected it to be. It was a little hard to follow near the top, but I highly recommend coming here. Now we're gonna make our way back down. We'll see you at the car.
After our hike, we went through Moab, got some lunch, and now we're headed off to Marlboro Point.
So we just took the turn off for Marlboro Point, and I found a couple blogs and things like that on the internet that give you the route to get in here, because apparently Google Maps doesn't really bring you the correct way. So we're gonna kind of go slow and follow that. Apparently most vehicles should be able to make it within about a 1/4 mile of Marlboro Point. I'm hoping we can make it all the way there, but if we can't, then we'll probably just try to find a pull off around there and hike in, and then we'll backtrack back out and, you know, find a place to camp. This area is BLM land, and then it goes into state trust land and then back into BLM land. So I don't think if we make it to that 0.3 mile mark, we'll be in BLM land anymore, but hopefully we are. I'm not exactly sure. So we're at the first junction now, and this blog says about a 1/2 mile and then follow the road to the right. So we're gonna stay right here. We just made it to that second junction at about 1.4 miles. And this blog is actually really good. Let me see what it's called. It's greatamericanhikes.com. This has great photos on here, like showing exactly, this was the first junction and this is the second junction. And if you can see that on there and then look up here, it matches really well. At 1.8 miles, so about 0.4 of a mile farther, we're gonna take a left. So it looks like we're at this junction at 1.8 miles. So it's a little bit hard to tell because there's another junction up there, but this picture has, you know, a nice kind of field right here, and then it looks like it comes up in curves. And that's pretty much exactly how it looks here. It doesn't look quite as wide open as it does in this picture, but I think this is the right road. And if I look on Google Maps, it looks like this road does go straight down to Marlboro Point. So it's getting a little rockier here. I'm having to slow down, but so far, nothing too bad. We're reaching the point where I think we're about to go from the BLM to the state trust land, and that says no camping beyond this point. So hopefully we can make it to the next sign where camping is allowed again. So we're coming up to what looks like it might be the next kind of obstacle here, but kind of looks a little bit worse than I think it is. I think if we stay here on the right side, we should be good. Just go slow and steady. And we're in 4-wheel drive. I don't really know if we've used it much yet until this point, but just going slow and steady up this stuff. It says leaving BLM land. So maybe now we're entering that state trust land. I'm currently editing this video right now, and at the time I didn't realize that when the GoPro died during the clip, after the clip you just saw, it didn't save that video that it was taking when it died, which it usually does. So then we went on to the next clip on the other GoPro and didn't really explain what happened, thinking that it was on the last video. That video didn't save, so it was going to make absolutely no sense. What happened was when we got to about 0.4 of a mile from the viewpoint, we started hitting some rockier ledge sections. So I walked up, checked them out, decided it really wasn't a smart idea to try to do it in the truck. So we pulled over into a little pull-off that was right there, packed up our stuff in our backpacks, and then started hiking towards the viewpoint. We're just a short distance away from the truck down there, and we're gonna start getting to the first obstacle here. I think this ledge, no problem. We got this easy. This next ledge, a little bit more difficult, but we keep a tire here and try to keep a tire here. And I honestly think we'd be fine here.
And then this ledge is where it starts to look like it'd be kind of tricky. It looks like we'd really have to stay high on this side. I don't know. And then these ledges honestly don't look too bad. They're gonna make it up through here. Kind of same with this. I don't see an issue through here. And then it's honestly not bad for a little bit here. There's a few little spots that you'd have to go slow, but doesn't seem too bad right here. There's a few little ledges right here, but they don't really look too bad. And it doesn't look too bad through here. There's some small ledges, but honestly don't think we'd have an issue with any of these. This right here was the next kind of obstacle I was seeing. I think we could hang far right, keep a tire as far right as we can here. Yeah, that's just really off camber. Like this side looks much flatter, and you honestly could probably come like straight down it. Actually, from the bottom, this side looks a little bit better. You honestly might be okay if you came up here. It's just gonna be very off camber. This is much less off camber, but just a chance of scraping. And this is much more off camber, but you could possibly stay here high and be okay. It'd be hard. It really, it's the thing is, it really doesn't look that bad, but kind of looks bad. There's a little bit higher of a rock here, but I think if you keep your tires, one tire on this, it'd be good. And then here's the sign right up here where we're entering that BLM land. We just met some people up there where we parked, and they said they were gonna try it in their trucks, and they have like big like truck campers. So if they make it, maybe we'll try it. But we're about to pass into the BLM land, and they said their plan was if they can make it past that sign, was to try to camp like immediately. So they'll probably try to take one of these pull-offs or something like that on the sides if they're able to make it through. Actually, it doesn't even look like there's a pull-off. It feels like you'd probably have to go all the way. But then, yeah, there's another ledge here. This one looks a little iffy, but I think if you stay really far this side with your driver tire, and then we might maybe, you know, you'd maybe have to stack up some more rocks, and maybe it'd be good. It looks like somebody has scraped pretty bad right there, so I'd probably either take out our traction boards or stack up some more rocks. So we're to the next area here. I would probably stick left. You can kind of avoid this dip by keeping a tire high. And I would honestly probably still stay high on these. Have a tire come down like here, keep your other tire up. Stay far left, tires on these rocks, tires over here, come down. That other side looks pretty hairy, but this side really does not look too bad if you take it slow. And there's one more kind of big drop right here as well, but I think if you stay far to this right side, wouldn't be too bad. It looks like somebody already stacked some rocks up there, so you'd maybe have to stack up a little bit more, but it doesn't look too bad. And it looks like there's a nice area here to park, and then some more space over here to park. This is that end point where you can't really drive any farther. It's all fenced off around the sides. Route ends, no vehicles past this point. There's the parking area there. We're walking down to the point now. What an amazing view. Our current plan is to watch sunset here, and then we're gonna walk back to the car and then drive back out of here and try to find some BLM land kind of outside of Canyonlands, and then maybe go into Canyonlands in the morning for sunrise at one of the overlooks there. I hope all those videos that we showed on the way in will help you determine if you think your vehicle will make it or not. And I don't want to deter anyone from coming here just because we weren't able to camp. I would still highly recommend coming here, checking it out, even if you have to hike in, because it is a beautiful view. We just don't think we're going to be able to camp here. And that being said, there also aren't a ton of spaces at the end of the road to camp. So even if you think you could drive all the way in, if you're kind of iffy on it, you might want to park where we did and hike in and just make sure that there aren't already all the spaces taken, because that would really stink to really push your vehicle and then get to the end and not even have a place to camp. If you're enjoying this video and you want to do this trip yourself, our 7-day Utah road trip itinerary is available for purchase on our website, and the link is in the description of this video. What an amazing sunset. That is an absolutely incredible place. I hope you enjoyed all those sunset shots. Now we're gonna walk back to the truck and then head out and try to find some BLM land nearby to camp on. That's gonna wrap up part 2 of our 8-day Utah and Western Colorado road trip. If you like this video, then subscribe to the channel. And if you wanna see more, then join us in part 3.